Hello and welcome to Deep Dive from SmartBookWorms, where we dive deep into recently released books from authors you love to read. My name is Martina, your virtual book guru host. In today's episode, we'll be diving deep into A Deep Dive for Cross by Austin Duffy, a masterful tale of betrayal and violence in a tight-knit community in Northern Ireland during the last days of the Troubles, from an acclaimed Irish writer making their U.S. debut. Today, I'm accompanied by my co-presenter and fellow virtual book guru, Claire. So let's dive deep into today's deep dive, Austin Duffy's Cross.
Part 1, Summary of Cross by Austin Duffy. Cross is a novel set in 1994 in the fictional Irish border town of Cross, during a period known as the Troubles. The story revolves around a group of men involved with the Irish Republican Army, IRA, and their interactions with local people. The novel is told in the third person, shifting perspectives between different characters, but often returning to Francie, a conflicted IRA member who works as a customs officer for the British government. Francie's job and internal conflicts. Francie is introduced as someone with a deep knowledge of the town and its inhabitants. He uses his position as a customs officer to gather information and conduct surveillance for the IRA, showcasing the complex realities of life in a divided community. He exhibits a meticulous and observant nature, tracking the routines and habits of those he surveils for potential IRA operations. Francie also feels burdened by the violence he participates in and expresses doubts about the IRA's cause, particularly after the ceasefire is announced. Naylor and Handy, contrasting figures in the IRA. Naylor is a senior IRA figure who operates from his isolated farmhouse. He is depicted as a powerful and authoritative figure, commanding respect and obedience from his men. Handy Byrne, on the other hand, is a young and reckless IRA operative known for his marksmanship and volatile personality. He is involved in several violent incidents, including the botched Warren Point job that leads to the disappearance of Darren Donnelly. Handy is also a key figure in the sexual assault of Cathy Murphy, a young woman from the town. The novel highlights the contrast between Naylor's calculated approach and Handy's impulsive actions, reflecting the internal tensions within the IRA. The Widow Donnelly and Cathy Murphy, victims of violence. The disappearance of Darren Donnelly sparks a hunger strike protest by his mother, the Widow Donnelly, who demands her son's safe return. Her protest brings to light the community's complicated relationship with the IRA and the deep impact of the Troubles on ordinary lives. Cathy Murphy, whose brother Thomas suffers a brutal attack from Handy and his friends, witnesses Handy meeting with a British intelligence officer, revealing his betrayal of the IRA. Cathy's subsequent sexual assault by Handy at the flamenco night further underscores the novel's exploration of violence and its lasting effects. Themes of betrayal, guilt, and trauma. Cross explores the complex dynamics of loyalty, betrayal, and guilt within the IRA. Francie's moral conflicts and Handy's actions as an informer highlight the ethical compromises and internal tensions that arise from prolonged conflict. The novel also addresses the lasting trauma experienced by individuals and the wider community as a result of violence. The Widow Donnelly's grief, Cathy Murphy's trauma, and Francie's descent into alcoholism are powerful illustrations of the enduring psychological impact of the Troubles. The end of the Troubles and uncertain futures. The announcement of the ceasefire and the ongoing peace negotiations signal a turning point in the novel. However, the characters' personal struggles with their past actions and the lingering effects of violence suggest that achieving true peace will be a complex and challenging process. The novel's ending, with the Widow Donnelly's act of revenge against Francie and Handy's escape from justice, underscores the enduring consequences of violence and the ambiguity of justice in the aftermath of conflict. Narrative style and use of language. Duffy's writing is characterized by its sharp, direct prose and use of colloquial Irish dialect, providing authenticity to the setting and characters' voices. The novel employs a fragmented narrative structure, shifting perspectives and jumping back and forth in time, mirroring the disorienting and traumatic experiences of those living through the Troubles. This technique creates a sense of unease and uncertainty, reflecting the fragmented nature of life in a conflict zone. The novel's fragmented structure makes it difficult to piece together a linear timeline. Readers must actively engage with the narrative to construct a complete understanding of events.
Part 2. Moral Dilemmas in Cross. The book depicts a community grappling with moral dilemmas during the Irish conflict, particularly through the character of Francie, a customs officer for the British government and an active IRA member. This double life, common in the context of the Troubles, forced individuals to navigate conflicting loyalties, constantly fearing exposure and facing the moral conflicts and turmoil inherent in such a situation. Francie embodies this inner struggle, expressing deep cynicism and detachment, even while participating in IRA operations. He voices his disillusionment, viewing the movement's descent into smuggling and violence as a betrayal of its original ideals, highlighting the moral compromise many felt forced to make. Loyalty versus pragmatism. The novel explores the tension between loyalty and pragmatism within the IRA. The push for a ceasefire further exacerbates these dilemmas. While the IRA was founded on unwavering loyalty to the cause of a united Ireland, often through armed struggle, the changing political landscape demanded strategic thinking and a more pragmatic approach. This shift created a difficult balance, particularly when considering how to maintain secrecy and control while addressing the concerns of a community seeking answers and justice. The pressure on leaders like Naylor, the local IRA commander, to navigate these complexities is evident. The Handy Burn Incident. The Handy Burn Incident serves as a turning point in the narrative, exposing the dark underbelly of the IRA and pushing Francie further toward disillusionment. Handy, a young, volatile IRA member, sexually assaults Cathy Murphy, a teenager whose father is suspected of being an informer. This act is a horrific betrayal of the IRA's supposed commitment to justice and freedom. It forces a confrontation with the reality that power can corrupt, even within organizations fighting for seemingly noble causes. The incident also highlights the vulnerability of women in conflict zones and the specific violence they face. Francie's moral stand. Francie, already grappling with his loyalties, is deeply disturbed by the incident and Naylor's attempt to cover it up. This internal conflict leads him to take a decisive moral stand. He defies Naylor's direct orders and publicly walks with Cathy through town, exposing Handy's crime and rejecting the IRA's code of silence. This act of individual responsibility puts him in direct opposition to the IRA leadership, demonstrating the immense courage required to break free from a corrupt system. Peace process and its moral costs. The story depicts the peace process as a complex and morally ambiguous undertaking. Francie, working as an informant for MOC, a prominent politician, initially believes he is contributing to peace. However, he gradually uncovers the manipulations and human cost of the negotiations, further deepening his disillusionment. The IRA's actions during the ceasefire, such as carrying out a major heist, highlight the dissonance between their words and actions. The manhunt for Handy, driven more by a desire to silence him than to achieve justice, further underscores this point. MOC, seizing the opportunity to eliminate Handy for political gain, embodies the cynical nature of power and the moral compromises made in the name of progress. Francie's disillusionment and final act. Throughout the narrative, Francie undergoes a profound process of disillusionment, peeling back layers of the IRA to reveal the rot at its core. His final act of confronting both Naylor and MOC, exposing their hypocrisy and manipulation, marks a complete break from the movement. The fact that Handy, a symbol of the IRA's brutality, survives the manhunt further emphasizes the fragility of peace and its haunting by the past. The Legacy of Cross. The story of Francie and Cross offers a poignant exploration of the Irish conflict and the moral dilemmas faced by individuals caught in its web. It underscores the human cost of conflict, the difficult choices and sacrifices made, and the struggle to find meaning in a world marred by violence. Francie's journey highlights the tension between loyalty and conscience, reminding us that individuals have the capacity to both perpetuate and resist the systems of power that shape their lives. The book argues that Cross ultimately serves as a testament to the power of storytelling, compelling readers to confront uncomfortable truths, challenge their beliefs, and grapple with difficult questions about conflict, morality, and the pursuit of peace and justice.
Part 3, Power Dynamics Within the IRA. The book highlights the complex power dynamics within the IRA, particularly through the characters of Naylor, the local commander, and Francie, a seasoned IRA member. These dynamics are characterized by a blend of respect, fear, manipulation, and a constant struggle for control. Naylor's authority and use of intimidation. Naylor embodies the archetype of a strongman leader who commands authority through a combination of charisma, strategic intelligence, and a willingness to resort to violence. He is revered and feared, his presence eliciting both admiration and apprehension among his men. Naylor carefully cultivates an image of power. He enjoys being surrounded by his men, holding court at the Arms, the local pub, where he dispenses wisdom, anecdotes, and veiled threats. He utilizes fear to enforce discipline and obedience. Handy, a volatile IRA member, illustrates the consequences of defiance when Naylor physically assaults him for questioning Francie's loyalty. Naylor maintains control over information, selectively revealing details and using secrecy as a tool of manipulation. When questioned about the Donnelly case, he deflects, emphasizing the need for coordination and reminding Francie of the hierarchy within the organization. Francie, walking the tightrope. Francie, initially presented as a skilled intelligence operative, navigates this complex power structure with a combination of caution and veiled defiance. He understands the unwritten rules and the dangers of challenging Naylor directly. Francie demonstrates his awareness of Naylor's manipulation tactics. He recognizes that Naylor utilizes him for his knowledge and insight, while simultaneously keeping him at arm's length from the decision-making process. Despite this awareness, Francie is not entirely subservient. He subtly pushes back against Naylor's control, sometimes using humor to mask his dissent. The turning point comes with the Handy Burn incident. Francie's moral outrage at the assault and subsequent cover-up prompts him to take a public stand, defying Naylor's direct orders and jeopardizing his position within the organization. Shifting power dynamics during the ceasefire. The announcement of the ceasefire further complicates these power dynamics. Naylor's authority, once seemingly absolute, is now challenged by the political machinations of MOC, the influential politician representing the IRA in peace negotiations. The sources portray MOC as a shrewd manipulator, wielding power through backroom deals and strategic alliances. He utilizes Naylor and the IRA's resources to advance his political ambitions, while simultaneously working to sideline those who threaten his agenda. Naylor finds himself increasingly constrained by MOC's directives, particularly regarding the ceasefire's restrictions on violence. He expresses frustration, but ultimately submits to the political reality, recognizing MOC's control over the organization's resources. Francie's break from the IRA. As Francie's disillusionment with the IRA deepens, he becomes less willing to tolerate their abuses of power. He observes the continued violence and criminal activities, particularly the planned heist, with increasing disdain. Francie's defiance culminates in a public denouncement of both Naylor and MOC. He rejects their authority and their attempts to control him, highlighting their hypocrisy and moral bankruptcy. This final act of rebellion signifies a complete break from the IRA's power structure. Francie chooses individual conscience over blind loyalty, accepting the consequences of his actions. The power dynamics depicted in the book illustrates the intricate and often corrupting nature of power within organizations like the IRA. While leaders like Naylor utilize fear and manipulation to maintain control, individuals like Francie ultimately challenge these dynamics, highlighting the enduring tension between obedience and individual morality.
Part 4. How does the political landscape of Cross impact the lives of the characters? The political climate of Cross during the Troubles creates a dangerous and morally ambiguous environment where characters must make difficult choices. Francie, a customs officer for the British government and a member of the IRA, leads a double life, navigating the complexities and dangers of both worlds. The novel highlights the moral dilemmas and compromises people faced, constantly worried about exposure and the potential consequences. The Donnelly case exposes tensions within the IRA and their relationship with the community. Darren Donnelly, a young IRA member, botches a job and flees, prompting his mother to stage a public protest that challenges the IRA's authority and secrecy. This situation forces the IRA leadership, particularly Francie, to balance their loyalty to the cause with the need for pragmatism and control in the face of community pressure. The case becomes a public relations nightmare as it coincides with growing momentum for a ceasefire. The power dynamics between Naylor, the local IRA commander, and Francie highlight the pressure to conform within the organization. Naylor utilizes threats and promises to manipulate Francie and ensure his loyalty to the cause, exploiting their relationship, which resembles a warped father-son dynamic. The novel explores the question of whether Francie's actions stem from genuine belief or merely a reaction to Naylor's influence. The push for a ceasefire creates anxiety and disillusionment among IRA members, particularly Francie. The impending peace process threatens their sense of purpose and identity, leading some to question the sacrifices they've made. Francie's drunken rant about the ceasefire reveals his growing disillusionment, highlighting the deeply personal nature of the conflict and the potential loss of purpose associated with the peace process. Handy Byrne's sexual assault on Cathy Murphy and the IRA's subsequent cover-up reveal a moral crisis within the organization. The incident undermines the IRA's claim to be a legitimate political force fighting for justice and freedom, highlighting the corrupting influence of power and the vulnerability of women during times of conflict. Naylor's attempts to silence Cathy further erode the IRA's moral authority and demonstrate the prioritization of image over justice. Francie's decision to publicly expose the crime by walking with Cathy through town signals his break from the organization and its code of silence, emphasizing individual responsibility and the need to challenge corrupt systems. Naylor's response to Francie's defiance showcases the IRA's use of intimidation and manipulation to maintain control. He confronts Francie with threats while also appealing to his ambition, offering the possibility of a promotion in the evolving political landscape. This carrot-and-stick approach underscores the pressure Francie faces as he attempts to navigate a path independent of the IRA. Cathy Murphy's decision to speak out against Handy Byrne and the IRA showcases the power of individual resistance. Her bravery inspires others to question the IRA and exposes their hypocrisy, challenging the culture of fear and silence. Cathy's story deeply affects Francie, highlighting the courage it takes to stand up to power and offering him a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. The IRA's decision to conduct a heist despite the impending ceasefire demonstrates the conflicting priorities of the organization. This bold move, fueled by greed and a desire for power, reveals the tension between pursuing peace and clinging to violence as a means of control. Francie finds himself trapped in a web of manipulation, gathering intel for the politician, MOC, while becoming increasingly aware of the human cost of the IRA's actions. The incident further underscores the murky reality of peace talks and the potential for moral compromises in the pursuit of progress. The botched heist in Dungannon and the death of Bernard Brady, a respected IRA member, exposed the fragility of peace and the ongoing dangers of the conflict. The incident, portrayed as a trap set by the authorities, fuels anger and grief within the IRA and highlights the ruthlessness of all sides. MOC's public response, denouncing the heist as unsanctioned and portraying Bernard Brady as a victim, exemplifies the cynical use of political maneuvering to protect the peace process. The manhunt for Handy Byrne following Cathy's accusations adds to the tension and reinforces the IRA's focus on control and image over justice. Francie's decision to prevent the IRA from killing Handy, despite his crimes, represents a complex act of defiance and compassion. By rejecting the IRA's brand of justice, he challenges their authority and exposes their hypocrisy. However, his actions also raise questions about the nature of justice and redemption in a conflict where clear-cut moral boundaries are elusive.
Part 5. Truth and Deception as a Reflection of the Conflict. The recurring motif of truth and deception in the narrative of Cross reflects the complexities and moral ambiguities of the conflict in Northern Ireland. The sources show how truth becomes a casualty in the fight for power and control, with characters often resorting to deception to protect themselves and their cause. Francie, a customs officer for the British government and an IRA member, lives a double life, highlighting the deception inherent in the conflict. This double life was common, as many people found themselves having to kind of straddle these two worlds, constantly worried about being found out. Francie's disillusionment with both sides leads him to question the truth of their ideologies and actions. He states, "The politicos have won out. Jobs for the boys in suits. We could have been the mujahideen, principled, ruthless. Instead, we're smugglers and thugs and petty criminals." The Donnelly case exemplifies how the IRA manipulates truth to maintain control. Darren Donnelly, a young IRA member, botches a job and flees, prompting his mother to stage a public protest demanding answers. The IRA tries to silence her and cover up the truth, prioritizing their image over justice. Naylor, the IRA commander, embodies the conflict between truth and deception. He inspires loyalty and respect while using fear and intimidation to maintain control. He tries to control the narrative around the Donnelly case and Handy Byrne's assault of Cathy Murphy, further demonstrating the IRA's willingness to bury the truth. Cathy Murphy's bravery in speaking out against Handy Byrne's assault challenges the IRA's control of the narrative. Her willingness to expose the truth empowers others to question the IRA's authority and righteousness. Francie's walk of shame with Cathy Murphy signifies his rejection of the IRA's code of silence and his choice to side with truth and justice. This act puts him at odds with the IRA, leading to Naylor's attempts to manipulate and control him through threats and promises. The IRA's decision to carry out a heist while engaging in peace talks exposes their duplicity and their continued reliance on violence and crime. This action further highlights the gap between the truth of their actions and the image they project. Mo C, the politician, uses both the IRA and the peace process for his own gain, demonstrating how truth becomes a tool for political manipulation. He exploits the Donnelly case and Handy Byrne incident to further his own agenda, highlighting the cynical use of truth in the pursuit of power. Francie's ultimate rejection of both Naylor and Mossy represents his attempt to break free from the cycle of deception that permeates the conflict. His actions, including protecting Handy Byrne from the IRA, raise questions about the nature of justice and redemption in a world where truth has become so elusive. The novel's conclusion leaves Handy Byrne, a symbol of the IRA's brutality, alive and unrepentant, while Francie is ostracized and disillusioned. This ambiguous ending emphasizes the enduring impact of violence and the struggle for truth and justice in a society marked by conflict. The motif of truth and deception is not just a plot device, but a reflection of the broader societal and political context of the Troubles. It forces readers to confront the difficult reality that truth can be a weapon, a shield, and a casualty in times of conflict. The search for truth becomes a personal and collective journey, fraught with challenges and moral dilemmas.
Part 6. To sum up, exploring the troubles through fiction. We've been discussing Austin Duffy's novel using the fictional character, Francie, a customs officer and IRA member, to explore the moral complexities and human impact of the Northern Ireland conflict, disillusionment, and moral crisis. Francie grapples with growing disillusionment towards the IRA, particularly after witnessing their brutality and hypocrisy, symbolized by the Handy Burn incident, the sexual assault of Cathy Murphy, and its subsequent cover-up. Individual courage versus organizational power. The story contrasts Francie's growing conscience and eventual rebellion against the IRA with the manipulative leadership of Naylor and the political machinations of Emmoch. Cathy Murphy emerges as a symbol of resistance, challenging the IRA's authority. Peace, justice, and unanswered questions. The novel concludes with a sense of unease, as the IRA commits a major heist even as peace talks advance, highlighting the fragile and often morally ambiguous nature of conflict resolution. Francie is left isolated, having challenged the system but bearing the weight of his choices, while Handy Burn's survival ensures the legacy of violence endures. And there you have it, Cross by Austin Duffy. Have you read it? If so, drop a comment below and let us know what you thought. And if you haven't, does this one sound like a must-read for you? If you enjoyed today's deep dive, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more book deep dives, and share this video with your fellow book lovers. Until next time on Deep Dive with Smart Bookworms, keep reading, keep growing, and we'll see you in the next one.